welcome to Represents. Today I have the privilege to welcome an old friend, a great friend of mine, Tony Greco, the one and only Canada's leading fitness instructor, fitness specialist. Tony, how you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me, Ray.
Hey, no problem. It's a pleasure to talk to you. It's been years. I don't know if you remember when I was doing martial arts with you years ago in my younger days.
You're still young, Ray. You look
I'm
great.
still young. I just
Yes.
turned 43 a couple of days ago.
Wow.
A couple of
You
days
look,
ago.
you look like you're
Uh,
25.
That's good. That's good. That's great. Listen, I I don't know. You had such a positive impact in my life, especially when I was in high school. I think I still remember the student creed when I did martial arts with you. My goal is to become the best person I can be. I will achieve this objective by disciplining my body and my mind, working to overcome obstacles that hinder my positive growth. I know this will take discipline, but I'm ready to make this commitment to myself in order to become the best person I can be and to share this progress with others.
I love it. I love it.
Hey,
That's amazing.
those kind of things you don't forget. Listen, Tony, what led you into the fitness world? How did it get started?
Yeah, I think, it was the experience that I had just training. I mean, everybody thinks that fitness should only be for the elite, but it should be for everyone. And why I say that is that, you get a lot of runners that start to run. They go, yeah, I like it because I do the runner's high. But I mean, fitness itself, what people don't realize that it's not just physically, it's mentally and spiritually. And I can't say enough about it. Like, I honestly think that fitness is the new medicine. And I'll tell you why. Because when people work out, they feel good, they look good, they make better decisions, they think a lot better because it's just very fulfilling. So that was one of the reasons that I said, wow, like this is like everybody should be doing this, not just pro athletes or just people that are well fit, right? It should be something that everybody should be doing every day.
Yeah, I mean, how do you manage all your roles? You're an author, you're an entrepreneur, you're a husband, you're a business owner. How do I guess fitness helps manage everything, but how do you do it? What's your key to success? I, I assume you have ways to manage all this and find peace in this chaos.
Yeah. What I think most of it's just balance and understanding the belief that you're trying to kind of preach. Like, for instance, as a husband, you're a provider, providing good quality values for your family. As a leader, you obviously want to make the team and make a difference in people's lives. As a motivator, you want to uplift spirits and get people to kind of believe in themselves. And really, as a fitness coach and trainer, you kind of want to do all those things together. Uh, that's why, like, whenever people ask me, hey, I got to come and see you, do you do fitness? I said, no, I actually like transform bodies, uplift spirits, and strengthen minds. They're like, what do you mean? I said, well, fitness is something that everybody does, but as that coach, influencer, motivator, you have to do all those qualities and you have to do them all every day. Because when people come in to see me, usually it's a weight loss issue. Usually it's something that they want to excel at and get better if you're a pro athlete. But really, after 2 to 3 weeks into their training, they start to feel better. So everything uplifts, and their well being, their attitude, and just everything uplifts. And what happens is when you do that, everything in life, their whole quality of life gets a lot better because they just kind of have that belief that they can do and fulfill something they probably weren't able to do. And I think that's one of the biggest things is people lose that belief. They have a dream, they have a vision. It's like, I want to do this, I see this, but they got to constantly believe. And that's not easy to do. That's why I love that student creed, because there's going to be obstacles along the way. And what happens is usually when people meet an obstacle, some people quit. Some people do the detour and get through it. Some people just break down the wall and go through it. But I can tell you one thing, that if you continue to do it, you're going to succeed and be a lot further than ever be, right? Because, I mean, the famous line of Mike Tyson, right? Everybody has a plan till they get punched in the face. But, when you get that punch or kick in the face, you got to learn how to kind of accept it, adjust, and acknowledge it and go through it. Because we're going to have that all the time. That's just the way life is, right? If it was easy, everybody would be doing it. But it's that fulfillment when people go through those thresholds. As you know, with the martial arts, you get that progress where you see that next belt, creates that interest. It's like, oh, that whole fire comes in, then the next belt, the next belt. And those are just steps of constantly making you believe your whole mental state. So my three things in order, I always tell people is vision. You have to see it. You have to believe it. That's the big one, right? Because we lose a little bit of the vision sometimes because we don't believe it as much. And then managing your state, because not every day is going to be a good day, right? But some people go, oh, well, what do you do for that? I said, well, one exercise you can simply do for that is wake up in the morning and say, this is going to be a great day. Just repeat it to yourself. And you'll probably start your day a lot better than saying, this isn't going to be a great day. So really simple things that you can do.
So basically, speaking it into existence,
Yeah,
right?
because you have your conscious and your subconscious mind, and I mean, if you can get into that super subconscious, and that doesn't cost anything. It just costs the fact of just repeating to yourself, "Hey, look, today is going to be a great day," and already in your mind you're persuading your mind to understand that it's going to be a good day. So automatically going out there and you're acknowledging all these thoughts that are going to happen throughout the day, and you're going to associate that with a behavior that you're going to carry out, which is going to create an emotion. So because you've mentally put in your mind it's going to be a great day, automatically, let's say your next destination is your workout or your workplace, and someone says, "Hey, how you doing?" "Oh, doing great." Because in your mind, you're programmed that it's going to be a good day. Whereas if you go into your workplace or the gym or wherever is your next destination is after you leave your house, and you're going with that mindset of it's not going to be a good day, then someone says, "Hey, how's your day?" So. So you've already, all it takes is a different program switch. And that's all it is. And you're in control of that. And that's one of the things I preach to everyone is like, look, I can tell you all the things you got to do. I'm not perfect. I'm striving for consistency every day. But really, at the end of the day, you got to want to do it, and you got to accept it. And just start with little things. If people go, this is the other thing I hear a lot of people are like, you know what? It's hard. I know, I get it. But, there's a lot of negativity around this. So you know what? Just repeat these words in your mind. Cancel, cancel. You don't have to say it when you're in a conversation. But if you're ever around someone that's kind of negative, then just go cancel, cancel in your mind, because automatically you've taken the brush and you've erased what you're listening, and your mind is understanding that. So it's called deflecting, and that's a skill set, right? The more you do this stuff, the more better you're going to get at it. It's just like bicep curls. You keep doing them, your muscles are going to grow. You're going to feel stronger. Well, if you keep practicing that with your mind, you're just going to feel so much better and feel that energy. I feel it all the time, because that's the way I get my therapy is from people that bring the negativity, so I can kind of persuade them to change that negative into the positive, because it doesn't cost anything to be positive, right?
Does that take a toll? You're talking about, that's your, you love it. Does that take a toll? Sometimes you have all this negative energy that you have to transform into something positive.
It does take a toll, and what's even worse is that that the person has what it takes to change. You know what I mean? Like, where you see that person, you're like, you almost want to look at the good in them, and like, that person would be so great if they just did this. And it's like, it's just so much little things. The other thing you get really good at is sensing the behavior, like what's going on in people's lives, because sometimes I'm like, well, you don't look happy. And they're like, oh, I'm happy. I'm like, well, tell your face that, because you don't carry that out, right? And you could see the anger. I think more and more lately, just obviously because of this whole pandemic that's happened, and what's happening to people in general is, people are having a hard time dealing with obstacles. I get it. And, there's that old saying, the strong survive. But, if we can uplift those people to kind of get, through those obstacles, then they're going to feel a lot better about themselves, because you know what? People are having a hard time, and more people are coming out with it too. I was talking the other day to a good psychologist, and they said, look, Tony, it takes 3 weeks to break a habit. If, let's say, if somebody's smoking or someone's addicted to some kind of illegal substance, they said, well, imagine being in that habit for 3 years. And this is because I said, it seems like people are really messed up. Like, what's your take as a profession? And they were saying, and I was like, wow, you know what? That makes a lot of sense. So what it does is it just makes us coaches work a lot harder, and a lot more consistent, because it might take a little bit more time. And that's another reason why I say, look, practice a lot of daily habits. Go in and do a workout, start meditating. If you can't afford a gym, maybe just start your own little workout, invest in a little bit of equipment, take walks, frequent walks, clear your mind, deep breathing. You know what? Take the time to relax. Like even some of my clients during the day, what I do is I have these motivational cards that I kind of hand out, and I say, pick one. And today in general was great because one of the clients picked out the card that said relaxation. Well, rather than go home, they actually stayed here an extra 10 minutes. Said, you know what? I'm going to stay here an extra 10 minutes. I'm going to fulfill. They just, little things like that just made them feel so great about themselves. And again, that's all about the mindset, right? And everything stems from the mind. So I'm really, really strong with the mind. Well, I wrote a book, Strong Mind, Lean Body, on purpose for that. I wanted to
Yeah,
just share a few things and experiences in my life that I could kind of like generate and inject in everybody else's life on how to deal with it.
that's amazing. That's
Yeah.
amazing. So this obviously this goes beyond just the physical aspect. The mental aspect is very important. Is actually instrumental in the success that we have in our lives. Listen, you spoke about some of your clients. I know you're a sought after instructor when it comes to the NHL. You have elite
Yeah.
athletes. Can you share like success stories that you had with if you want to name names, that's fine. If you don't,
Yeah.
that's okay as well. But success stories that you had with athletes that were struggling, and how you were able to lift them up, just by tweaking this or that.
Yeah, you know what? I have a few athletes, and I'll just tell you a few stories before I mention their names. But what's really interesting is I see these guys at a young age. I mean, I've had a few of them. Well, one in general at the age of 14, and it's funny because whenever these athletes come in and I sit them down and I kind of go through their eating habits and kind of get a little bit of a feel of what they're thinking at that age, and then we start the journey. And I love it because you see the progress throughout the whole journey, and you see also the maturity level, and you see the growth, which is really key, both on the ice, on the field, wherever that athlete may be, which is really rewarding to me and my team of coaches. But it's amazing because what happens is one of the things I found is that putting athletes in an uncomfortable position, both mentally and physically, really shows what kind of character they have. And one
Mm.
example is my client Claude Giroux, who plays now for the Ottawa Senators, was longest captain for the Philadelphia Flyers. Well, there's a typical guy that likes to win every day, no matter what it is. Comes in, you know, first in his group because he works out with four other hockey players, and just hates to lose, but accepts it. And I remember one time he's like, "Did that guy really finish before me?" I said, "Yeah." He's like, "Okay, no problem." And he thrives on that loss. Those negative people that say, "Oh, he's okay, but he can't do this or he can't do that." He just strives on that, and that's a skill set that I think of putting the athlete in an uncomfortable position is going to allow you to do that. Whereas like you're working extra hard. I mean, I always say anybody can work out when they're not tired, but imagine trying to put someone when they're tired through that same workout. So that strong person, mentally and physically, is going to come through it. The other guy might quit halfway through. That's when you really see the change, and that's been really fascinating for me, is being able to put that athlete in that uncomfortable position where I know he's going to come out, and whether he's on the ice, whether he's performing on stage. Another one is, Carrie Underwood. I mean, I mean, here's a typical performer that I was so impressed with her when she started working out with me. When Mike Fisher, her husband, was here in Ottawa, I was like, oh my gosh, like, because he said, yeah, you're going to put Carrie through the workout. I'm like, okay, I see this kind little girl, and she's introducing herself, and I don't really know much about her because I wasn't a big country fan back then, but there's a girl that would go through a wall for you, and she is dynamite. But mental, all from the mind. Like, just that whole characteristics of her is so important, and that's been one of the nicest things that I've seen, is people able to go and get through uncomfortable situations and get through it, because it's not easy. It's not easy.
That's amazing. That's amazing to me. Where are you right now? You're at the gym right
Yeah,
now?
this is my outside gym.
Amazing.
So what I did is I as you know, I sold my brand about
Yes.
it's been 7 years ago under the Greco
Mm-hmm.
name. And then
Mm-hmm.
what I did through a good friend of mine, obviously Claude Giroux, he introduced me to Dr. Ben Peterson and this guy Cal Dietz at the University of Minnesota. And I just totally changed my whole new concept of training. I don't teach anything that hasn't been tested or hasn't or isn't measurable, because then you're just guessing. And I always tell people that are working with coaches, I mean, it's not coaches' intentions, but you need to have a goal. You need to see progress. It's going to create interest, and you need to measure. You need to provide the proper science behind the exercises, because if not, um, you're always going to feel better doing something physically, but you want to make sure that you do all the right things. So what I did is I worked with him for quite a time, and my team and I have been just introducing this whole new concept of training. It's called Triphasic training. We train three different tempos to generate maximum force of power, which is phenomenal because our clients, whether you're an athlete or not, they progress in the form of a V, meaning if one of the V is a force and one represents power, you're coming down quick and you're accelerating really quickly, just without getting too much
Mm-hmm.
into the science. But it's basically like you're able to stop on a dime and take off on a dime. And it's all about the braking part, right? Because everybody works on the push exercises like the bench and the biceps, but it's about resisting
Mm-hmm.
force and generating power. Really neat stuff. And then you add obviously some balance, stabilities, and some plyometrics to that. And I mean, you've probably seen my page on Instagram,
Yes.
some really cool stuff. So yeah, and again, taking that training and applying to mainstream clients, like I got, you know, girls that are like 15 years of age squatting 315. It's like, yeah, and
Wow.
then I got like, people in their late 50s that can stop on a dime. It's so nice to see that the principles of the training really work and they're adapting to it really well. It's really rewarding for us.
That's amazing. I could use some of that. Maybe I'll swing by if you have
Any
if you have time
anytime,
for me.
anytime. I love for you to come in and see the place anytime you want. Yeah. So what I did is
I would love
I
to.
just pivoted and I built a facility 100 feet from my house. I have an outdoor gym. I just blessed at my location. I don't know if you see the trees behind me, but just
Yeah.
the energy from the forest. It just provides this like just burst of energy, and people just get uplifted. And I also have the indoor facility as well, and then some of the therapy stuff like with the hot sauna and the cold tub as well. So it's just an experience for people to kind of detach themselves from their everyday world and just come in and work and be zen and feel really comfortable with themselves at the end of the day.
Tony, you always struck me as a man of principle, someone who found peace. Ever since I've known you, you've always been like that. It's great to see that. It's I've seen the level of success that you've achieved in your career. It's amazing, and
Thank you.
I consider it a privilege to have been around you for some time, especially in my younger days. Um,
Thank you.
so what's next for you? What are you working on?
So right now, I'm going to be really expanding a lot of the training with people that need to do, for instance, a lot of the rehab stuff, a lot more athletes, because people that are injured, whether you're an athlete or just a mainstream client, I really think that proper exercising will get you there. And again, this is nothing to kind of take a stab at physiotherapists or chiropractors and stuff like that. All these professions are great to help people, but I just think your body's a temple, and if you could train a lot of the stuff, like a lot of pre-habilitation stuff, and treat it and apply the proper principles, you're gonna, I don't want to use the word undestructible, but you just have a less chance of injuring yourself, which is going to keep you around a lot longer. And you're able to get your tissue a lot thicker. So as you get old, you're aging gracefully. Like hopefully you don't need, a walker or a cane, because you have enough balance, you have enough stability, you have enough strength. And then more and more, I see a lot of people, suffering from Alzheimer's and dementia. And I really do believe that the more you can keep your mind active physically, you can deal with, I think, some of that stuff going ahead. And the reason why I say that is I've been very blessed and grateful that I've been on a lot of calls with a lot of neuroscientists, a lot of top doctors on an NCAA level, a lot of coaches. So I'm surrounded by a group of people that share a lot of data and a lot of passion, and it's addictive, right? Because you get a high on it. So I'm kind of that guy that wants to see that more and more. Um, and then obviously the athletic component, I mean, that's in my DNA. So that will always be furthered more and more and more because I see a lot more young athletes coming in and trying to excel at their game. And we know you gotta be a champion to teach people how to win, you know, and that's just my philosophy. I mean, again,
Hmm.
and nothing against, coaches that try, but you got to feel it. It's the experience, right? And I can relate to it because I've been punched in the face. I've been kicked in the face. I've been kicked in the ribs. I've had a broken jaw. Like I've been there. I've done it.
Wow. You were saying that you have the experience, you know what it takes. You've been kicked, you've been punched.
Yeah.
You can lead by because of your experience, right? And I kind of agree with that, because
Yeah.
if I go train with someone who doesn't look as strong or as fit, then it's kind of defeats the purpose, right?
Yeah. And again, nothing to take that away uh, from other coaches, but you have to feel it because you got to experience it. Because you know what that person's going through, right? You know when to kind of lift them up because you've been there, right? So it's all those little things that make a big difference. And I think that athlete, the client feels that true passion being injected into them, you know?
So, Tony, you were telling me about young hockey players or young athletes that you see at a very young age. Can you tell me what advice you would have for a young athlete, who's watching our conversation right now, in order to reach a level of success? What would you tell them?
Well, I would tell them, you know what? Have your thoughts, your dream, I mean, your idea, and pursue with actions because a lot of people they they have the intentions but they don't put the action forward. And what I mean by that is, make up a daily discipline sheet. For instance, am I doing all the right things? And every day fulfill that task no matter what it is. You got to be consistent. Consistency is key to success. If I'm trying to climb up a mountain and I go one step up and then two down, I'm never going to get up. But if I gradually step up every day and go step by step by step by step, eventually I'm going to get a lot closer to it. So every day, practice your daily disciplines. Write them down, whatever that may be, and whatever your goal is, and then fulfill that. Every day, you have to do something to fulfill that task because actions speak a lot louder than words. And no matter what comes across your way, you just get it done.
Tony, that's beautiful. On that note, I like to end it that way. I end my conversations always by saying, we learn today and we lead tomorrow. Thank you for your time. And I'll come check out the the fitness center.
I would love to have you, Rain. Thanks a lot, and thanks for having me on to the podcast.
Thank you. I appreciate you.
Thanks, buddy. Peace.
All right. Take care.
Okay.